What's the market like right now? When's the best time to buy? Have prices actually dropped? Where's the market heading? Will prices continue to drop? Should I sell now? These are all questions we get on a daily basis. To answer them, I dove into some stats starting with our hometown of Stoney Creek. And at the end of this video, I'll make a prediction, which, asking any of our clients, I never do. So stick around for that. If you want to know what's happening in your neighborhood, comment on this video with your hometown and I'd be happy to dive into the stats of your town. So let's start with Stoney Creek. 3 years ago, unbeknownst to us, we were just 4 months away from experiencing a global pandemic that changed the real estate market more than we could have imagined. We were climbing out of a mini market correction in 2018 after seeing stronger than average growth in the real estate market in 2015, 16, and 17. Following 2018 and 2019, we had rebounded from about a 2% depreciation of real estate values in Stoney Creek, and we were on track with really steady and sustainable growth of about 6%. Then, in March of 2020, the bottom fell out of the market. Within 2 weeks following March break, real estate activity dropped about 40%, while everyone was quarantining and trying to flatten the curve of the rising COVID-19 cases. Following that, however, real estate was deemed an essential service and everything changed. By the end of 2020, real estate values in Stoney Creek had risen a whopping 17%. But that wasn't the end of the story. In 2021, the market continued to rise at unsustainable rates. By the time we reached the end of 2021, values had inflated an additional 30%. Why? Well, we all know that there's a housing shortage. That has contributed to strong growth in real estate values across Ontario, and Stoney Creek was no exception. But 2021 was unique. According to CIBC, parents across Canada gifted their children a total of about $10 billion. 1 in 3 first-time home buyers received help from their parents. That means there was a large group of buyers that all of a sudden entered the real estate market. This drove up demand unproportionally and put a further strain on the shortage of homes available to purchase. In any market, when demand is high and supply is low, prices rise, and that's what happened here. But let's back up a little. In order to properly understand all of the trends, we have to look at years worth of data. This graph shows the median home price in Stoney Creek since 2002 on an annual basis right up until our current year-to-date median price. Back in 2002, the median price of a home in Stoney Creek was about $170,000. By the beginning of 2022, the median price of a home in Stoney Creek was over $1 million. And the last time we experienced growth like this was in the late 80s, which was on the heels of the inflationary crisis then that resulted in mortgage interest rates shooting as high as 20%. And if you don't remember that, ask your parents. They will. Take a look at this graph that shows the percentage increase in real estate values in Toronto since 1972. What happened after the crazy home prices in the late 80s? Well, we plunged into the recession of the early 90s. Real estate values dropped year over year until the mid to late 90s, and we started to see growth again. Let's take another look at the percentage growth in Stoney Creek since 2002. The average annual appreciation is 8.76%, represented by the red line in the middle of the graph. But that includes the higher than average growth in 2016, 17, 2020, and 2021. If we remove these anomalies, the average growth drops to about 6%. If we apply this annual growth of 6% to the median home prices in Stoney Creek since 2002, this is what it would look like. If the above average growth from 2015 to 2017 didn't happen, and if COVID never happened and everything that came with it, the median price in Stoney Creek would be right now at about $545,000. But COVID did happen. So let's take a look at what has happened in Stoney Creek since November of 2019, just before the pandemic. Back then, the median house price was around $550,000. By December of 2020, while we're deep into the pandemic, the median price here had shot up to $665,000. But then, as the $10 billion of money was gifted to first-time home buyers, prices shot up to over $1 million for the average home in Stoney Creek by January of this year. This means that real estate values in Stoney Creek were up 90% in just over 2 years. By now, we've started hearing words like inflation again, and the Bank of Canada started hinting at raising interest rates, which had been steadily dropping during the pandemic. Home prices started dropping. Currently, home prices in Stoney Creek are down about 25% from the beginning of this year, and that trend is continuing. Interest rates have steadily risen, as has the cost of living across the board. With the exception of real estate, everything is more expensive now than it was a year ago. So, what do I think is going to happen? I think prices will come down to pre-pandemic levels. Remember the graph I showed with the 6% annual growth? That hypothetical situation showed a median home price in Stoney Creek at $545,000. Where were prices in November of 2019? Right at the $550,000 mark. Here's another thing to consider. When mortgage interest was at its lowest, at about 2% for a 5-year fixed rate, the median home price in Stoney Creek was at about $815,000. So, let's say an average buyer purchased the average home in Stoney Creek at that time. They put 20% down, which they probably got from their parents, locked in their mortgage for 5 years, and their mortgage payment was around $2,800. If we assume that $2,800 per month is what the average homeowner in Stoney Creek can afford to pay their mortgage, what does that kind of payment buy you right now? Well, interest rates on a 5-year fixed mortgage are at around 5.5%. So working backwards, all things being equal, except for home prices, if they put 20% down, they can afford $2,800 as a mortgage payment. Instead of affording an $815,000 home, they can now only afford a $575,000 home. That's a serious reduction. And this lines up with my prediction. I said that home prices will drop to pre-pandemic levels, which were at around the $550,000 mark. Currently, the average buyer can only afford a home that is around $575,000. It seems inevitable that prices will drop to accommodate this. So, backing up to one of the previous questions, many have asked us, when's the best time to buy? Well, everyone's situation is different. There's no one correct answer to that. Prices will likely continue to drop, and most experts also agree that the Bank of Canada will raise interest rates again in December, probably at around 0.5%. Go to tallrealestate.com and get in touch with us, and we'll guide you in your unique situation. We're also asked, should I sell now? Again, this depends on your situation. If you can hold on to your property or properties and weather the storm, do that. If you need to sell for whatever reason, you should be doing that sooner than later. If you need to sell a home to buy another home, it's a wash, loosely speaking, as long as you're buying and selling in the same market. Whatever situation you're in now, 2 aspects of your selling strategy have never been more important. Number 1, pricing properly. And number 2, home staging. We're experts in both of those areas, and you should know that we include staging in our unique listing bundles. Ask us for more information on that if you're thinking of selling. Again, comment on this video if you want us to dive into the market stats for the town you call home. I'll be doing more videos like this over the coming weeks and months. And in the meantime, like and share this video.